it's time for another video. And this one, I've been thinking for it for a while. Well, I've been thinking over it. Should I really do this video? Because I feel like this video, I've done a lot of countries, like the fall, rise, the rise of the, like, national teams or a team. This one probably might, it's not controversial, but it might be a very odd one. And one that, I don't know, maybe I'm going a little too far, but the Solomon Islands, I feel like, have been going through a huge rise for the last 6 years. And now they're going to be playing New Zealand tomorrow. And if they win against New Zealand, they'll probably be playing against Colombia, or they could be playing either Peru, Colombia, or Chile. And the chances of them winning against one of those teams and getting into the World Cup would be very slim, but never say never. So, yeah, I'm going to be going over the rise of the Solomon Islands national team. And I know, again, I might have gone a little too far, but I feel like, again, there's so much of a rise. So let's start off with Solomon Islands. The Solomon Islands is a country that has a lot of has like hundreds of islands, and it's in the South Pacific. It doesn't really border anyone because it's islands, but like some close places nearby are like Philippines and some other places. It's not like where like Fiji is. Let's just say that it's a little closer to land. Their capital is Honiara. They have like a population of almost 700,000, so a lot of people. And their language is English. So the history now of Solomon Islands, it is a pretty big one. There's like over 900. There's like a lot of islands there. There's like 6 major islands there, but like the history is very big. So they've actually had a good amount of people coming for there. The name actually comes from like a Spanish name. The Spanish, when the people first arrived in Solomon Islands in 1568, they were founded by Alvaro de Mandana, and he was the first one to settle in Solomon Islands, and he named it Islas Salmon, which is Solomon Islands, and it was named after the wealthy King Solomon. So cool. So yeah, and then that's when the name came. So now we go on. I'm not going to be going over like the first people to go there, because the first people were back in the very early BCs. I'm going to go when people start finding it. So if you want to know like before, when people first found it, check Wikipedia, because that knows when people first found it. So again, the first person to find it was a Spanish navigator called Alvaro de Mandana de Nera. He was actually sailing from Peru in 1568. He landed in 1568 on Santa Isabela, is what he called it. And then so it was founded in 1568. And then a lot of other people started going there. And then it was actually part of the it was like founded for a long time. It only became a country in like 1975. It took a while for it actually to get the independence. So also other stuff. In 1967, a British explorer called Philip Carteret sailed there, and he sailed there. Also, French explorers also found the Solomon Islands. Louis Antoine de Bougainville was also there in 1769. And also in 1788, John Shortland was also sailed by there when he was actually shipping Britain's new Australian colony at Botany Bay. So kind of funny there. So not a lot would happen in the Solomon Islands for much time. It was a lot, like some people came there actually, with vessels coming from like Britain, USA, Australia, but so a lot of people had been there, mainly and like there were a lot of people going there. And then in 1884, Germany, the German Empire, was starting to get like Papua New Guinea, and then they took over the North Solomon Islands. And then in 1886, Germany and Britain kind of confirmed that Britain would have the southern Solomon Islands. And then there was like a lot of stuff going on, and then kind of like the 1900s, Britain was mainly occupying the country. It was also being occupied by some people were there. It's not like no people were there, but there weren't a lot of people living there. Probably 5 to 10,000 people, maybe. It wasn't like a big place, but there was a lot like trading there. And then we go to World War II. Like I've said with a lot of these islands, they were a big part of World War II. From 1942 to 1943, they were a part of the Japanese Empire. So yeah, and it was also another part, like kind of like Guam. They're also a big part. They were a big base for like Japanese to go in case they need a backup. So, and then like there were a lot of stuff going on, and yeah, stuff happened. World War II ends. They didn't really have big of a part in World War One because like it was like not that as big. I think World War II was definitely bigger than World War One. And then they got independence in 1978, so that's good. And they got independence from England, so that's good. In 1978, on July 7th, 1978, they got independence from the UK. So that's good. They get independence. Good. In 1978. Now, after that, like Solomon Islands, it's a nice place. There's a lot of people there, and there's some cool stuff in Solomon Islands. Now we're gonna get to the national team because the national team obviously started when Solomon Islands became its own country in 1978. So now let's move on to the national team of Solomon Islands. Now, Solomon Islands, it's never featured in a World Cup. So yeah, let's get into this. Solomon Islands team, the team was founded in 1978, and they will become part of FIFA in 1988. They'll be like recognized. So I'm not sure if they're officially part, but like they became kind of their first international game was against the New Hebrides, which is now Vanuatu, where they won 6-3, and that game was on in 1963. So that was their first game. So that's good. So now we're gonna go to the history of the team, because it hasn't had that big of a history. I mean, it only became a national team in 1978. So for 2004 Oceania World Cup qualification, they were drawn up against Australia, which was really hard. Fortunately, they lost pretty badly. Like, they lost 5-1 and 6-0 in both of their matches for the 2005 Confederations Cup. But they would get to play them again. Got a second chance against Australia. And then that this time though it wouldn't go much better. They lost 7-0 in the first game and then lost 2-1. So yeah, not great. For 2006 World Cup. And then 2010, they started good, but then they lost to New Caledonia, and then they also lost to Vanuatu. which saw them knocked out of 2010 qualifying. And then in 2012, they would be in the OFC Nations Cup, which was like which was the second round for the 2014 World Cup. They finished fourth, and then they qualified for the next part. They defeated Papua New Guinea, Fiji, and New Zealand, and they tied against Fiji and New Zealand. Unfortunately, they lost in the semifinals to Tahiti, and then they also lost the third place playoff against New Zealand. They actually would go to Tahiti, the first place. So, good job, Tahiti. And then in 2017, they would actually. This is a man who really has helped them mostly. They brought in Spaniard Felipe Vega Arango, and he's been doing a really good job. He's really taking them pretty well. The team, it's looking pretty good right now. So they've played a few many games this year. They were meant to play about 7 games, but they've played 6. Their first game this year was against Brisbane Roar in a friendly where they won 1-0, and then the next game was against Kabooter Sports FC and they lost 2-1. Some random Australian team. Then they played a friendly against Queensland Lions, another 4-2 win. Then they had another friendly against Cook Islands and they won 2-0. Their first match of qualifying for the tournament for the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifying, because I think it got delayed. Unfortunately, their first game in Vanuatu got canceled. Then they played against Tahiti, won 3-1. So the funny thing is that they technically only played 1 game because both 2 teams in their group, Cook Islands and Vanuatu, canceled. They left. So their only game is Tahiti. They went through, and even if they lost, they would have technically been through. So then they go into the semifinals on this qualification, playing against Papua New Guinea. Very good. They won 3-2, and now tomorrow is the tie. They're playing New Zealand at Doha in Qatar. It's going to be Solomon Islands versus New Zealand. So I'm very excited for this because I do think the Solomon Islands have been good. They have one very good youngster. In the game I said against Tahiti, this 18-year-old scored a hat trick. I know it's against Tahiti, but for an 18-year-old striker to score a hat trick against Tahiti is very good. So what's it going to be for New Zealand? I do very much hope that they can win. And by the way, the 18-year-old I'm talking about is Rafael Ahuanua Liei. He's 18 years old and is currently playing for Henderson Eels in Solomon Islands. But none of the players in the national team have played outside of Solomon Islands. So yeah, that's good. That's okay. And they could make it into 2022 World Cup, but the chances of that happening is very slim. They would have to win against New Zealand, which I do think they do have a chance, but then they would have to play either Colombia, Peru, or Chile. Solomon Islands beating one of those teams is like a 1% chance. But at the same time, North Macedonia beat Italy. If I were to put up my money who would go through, I'm saying Peru. Could be Paraguay, because Peru plays Paraguay, Colombia plays Venezuela, Chile plays Uruguay. Probably not going to be Chile. I do think Colombia has the best chance, though, because they're playing Venezuela. And by the way, their best ever place in the Oceania Nations Cup was a 3rd place in 1996 and 2000. Actually, no, their best was in 2004 when they finished 2nd in Australia. So, and then they've also played some Pacific games. I've been looking. Their best places were in 1991, 1995, and 2011. So pretty good. But they've never won any of those tournaments. And yeah, I really want to see this team do good because again, I said the young player is really good. But why have I really done such a big essay or such a big video on just Solomon Islands, which isn't a big country? Well, if you look back then, I don't think that team was doing very well. I mean, like think about it. In like 20 in 2015, they didn't do good in qualifying. They finished like bottom of their group. Now they could be making it into the world, and they could be making it into the intercontinental part of qualifying, which is still a big improvement from where they were in 2018 World Cup qualifying. Again, I will admit that this might have been, I don't know, a bit extreme to say that there's been such a rise of the Solomon Islands where probably hasn't been. Let's just be real. But I still do think that there is promise for this team. I do think there is a chance that they could be doing good in the future because I do think this team has a good future. There are some really good players, like I said. The 18-year-old William Komasi is also a good youngster. They got a lot of young players in this team. And if they could do well, you could be seeing Solomon Islands in the World Cup in a few years. Who knows? But I hope you guys like this video on the Solomon Islands. Wish them luck on qualifying for the World Cup, beating New Zealand. They're playing tomorrow at 1 p.m. I hope they do win against New Zealand, but the chances of them getting into the World Cup is very slim. Hope you guys like this video. If you want to see more nations or stuff on like video essays where I talk about nations or clubs or any sort of stuff, then like the video and comment what you think. I'll see you guys next time. See ya.